Good evening and welcome to Bent TV. Tonight in Lost in Translation, the topic is misgendering. In the Bear Cave, the topic is bearwear, or is it bear drag? And in Queer Idea, Remy's guests discuss the mistakes we make in trying to find a partner.
Hello and welcome to Lost in Translation, where we look at things through the trans prism. Tonight I'm joined by Isabelle and Simona. Welcome.
Thank you kindly.
So tonight I thought we could have a bit of a chat about possibly more of a serious topic, but not necessarily, about misgendering. So for those that don't know, that's basically when someone calls you the opposite pronoun to what you would prefer and identify
dude,
with.
hey, dude, and you're like, dude, I'm not dude, you know.
Yeah, or when I get mammed.
Yeah. It's like someone sent me an email the other day going, like, they were coming to film at my house, and they were like, dude, when can we come round and film at your house? And I just replied back to them, dude, I'm a chick. And I just thought, that was the best way to respond to a dude, bro. It was to call myself a chick, and he'd go like, oh, lol. So, you know, anyway, that was one way, even though chick's probo.
I always wanted to get a little badge, like particularly after I came to Australia, that said, actually, not your mate.
But everyone's your mate. It's, you know.
Mateship. Yeah. Mateship, it's just genderless style.
Exactly.
Oh, come on, you know. No, yes.
Mate!
Yeah.
See, I've found that I had a weird experience where I went for about like a year, I think, without getting misgendered, and then have suddenly started to again. But I think the thing that I'm most offended by was that recently I was called ma'am, and I'm like, I'm not old enough to be ma'am. Oh. Like it was purely a...
You're showing your age now.
Yeah, exactly. So now misgendered, and now I'm thinking I'm old.
Well, there's nothing wrong with middle-aged style. Not that I'm going to mention how old I am, but, you know, so I can yeah, anyway, stop talking. What are we talking about? Misgendering.
Yeah,
no, we're not talking about age. Misgendering. Well, I just got fiercely misgendered by somebody, actually, which was, pretty awful, and I've, getting misgendered at Centrelink and getting misgendered by government agencies and, things like legal services as well. It's kind of like, particularly, I think one of the hardest things for me is that I do come from a separated family, and my, I do hope that my family do reinforce my gender pronouns when they are talking about me, so there's not really much control I have over how I am spoken about. So, sometimes, particularly by my family, I am, misgendered. So, yeah, it's kind of, it does help when your family can collectively gender you correctly, because no matter what age, your family members are, they can have that reinforced to them.
See, I've found that with with my family, and they're all pretty good. Like they all try and all that sort of stuff. But the thing that I've been quite grateful of the fact was I've got two nephews, and so my brother is very, very much like I'm their uncle, and so he says that they were quite small when I came out, so only one of them was alive. So I don't think they ever knew me as an auntie. But the fact that they're actually doing that, like they're quite proactive in trying, which kind of sometimes makes a difference.
Yeah, like I guess some are better than others, when it's like, so I mean, I'm considered an auntie, by my brother's two children, which is good, but neither of them can talk. In fact, one of them hasn't even been born yet, so I'm really totally just getting ahead of, I'm counting my chickens before they've literally hatched, but, my son, sort of, part of raising him is teaching him about pronouns, because, my friends are gender diverse and trans, and it's important that he understands that there is fluidity of gender, and that there is, you know, she, they, and he, and that's something that I'm trying to impart to him as a sort of, you know, life, you know, piece of education. So, and then how that's received by the rest of my family is like, whoa, this is some crazy politics you're filling, you know, your boy with. And I'm like, well, hang on a minute, there's nothing crazy about it. It's actually quite futurist, you know. So if you're misgendering me, I think I'm more worried about your crazy politics than my crazy politics. So, you know, misgendering is everyday transphobia as far as I'm concerned. And it's, but to say it's everyday transphobia doesn't mean that it's like, you know, everyone that misgenders is evil. Some people just do it out of habit, or it's a very difficult thing to pick up. But there's some people who just genuinely just do not give a shit.
Yeah.
And you'll point it out to them and they just go, I'll get over it, you know, like, you know, I'm not used to it yet. And it's like, well, it's been 2 years, you know. I live my day every day, you know, so.
It was interesting what you were saying before about sort of being misgendered, like government and organisational kind of misgendered thing, as well as sort of on day-to-day people speaking. Because recently I had my pap smear, and so I got the results sent in the mail to Miss Nathaniel, and it was kind of like this, like, because you can see them at the, you know, the pathology place where they've got evidence that, you know, it's female anatomy and all that sort of stuff. And it was kind of this, like, it was just this really, I found it quite amusing, because it was like, well, clearly they've seen that, like, and it said M on the thing, but they just must not have some form of policy to actually be able to change the gender.
They haven't got the box.
I don't know, it's just ticky boxes.
Dear idea. I think in the census, like, I think last year's census, there was, what, five men gave birth last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was listening to Joy, and they were just pulling out some stats, and there were 5 men that gave birth. So at least the Australian census has got a box that can be ticked for,
But
for
I mean,
men
on
that can give birth. So obviously
Yeah.
trans men that are giving birth, you know. So they'll get onto it with their pap smears at some point.
I know. It's amusing, if nothing else. I think it's one of those things that you have to laugh.
You have to laugh. You do have to laugh a fair bit. Otherwise, you end up, you know, on an assault charge.
And assault charges are bad in general.
No, no, I'd rather laugh at misgendering than being locked up by the popo.
Well, thank you very much for coming on and having a chat about that. You've been watching Lost in Translation.
Hi, I'm Big Bear Mark, and this is the Bear Cave. Today with me, I have some good friends. I've got Nick Laws with me. Hi, Nick.
How you going?
And I've got Steve Scalone. How are you going?
Good.
Good. Today, we're going to talk about something I think is very obvious in the bear community. We're going to talk about bearwear or bear drag. Now, you look at us on the panel today. You're the odd one out, Nick.
I knew it. I predicted it.
We've got the checks.
Yep.
Which is pretty standard bearwear, I
Bearwear,
suppose.
yeah.
Well, I would class as bearwear.
Yes. And the other standard is bear black.
Black.
Yeah, there you go.
And or the bear T-shirt.
Yep.
I mean, it's like with something bear related printed on it, obviously.
Yes.
Are we just drag queens? is that what we are?
Well, in my defence, I do own solid coloured shirts as well. But usually bears tend to be, and it's such a generalisation, but bears tend to be slightly larger than, say, a medium or a large. When you do start to get into the XLs, the double XLs and beyond, this is pretty much all that's
Your
available.
range is checked.
Your range is kind of getting
Clearly
limited.
there's a lot of check material around. So
Yeah.
There is, and I mean, I don't know if you guys find it, but I mean, it's only lately I've actually been able to. I've been going online, and luckily in the American market, there's a lot more range.
That's so true,
But in the
yes.
Australian market, I found it was like, you get check, you get very plain colours, you get blue, and if you're lucky, you might get a red or a green.
Yes.
And it was like the lack of clothes for bigger men is just incredible. What? Do you have a night?
No, I agree. It's just like, I always sort of like go for safety black a lot of the time and all that sort of thing. But it's either checks or black most of the time. But I agree, it's like colours and that sort of thing. It's just like, not much in the way going with it. There always seems to be those sort of either grey or brown or, olive, whatever like that. I don't know what it is. It's just like, what is it about sort of like men, they get to a certain size and they can only go into certain colours. I just don't get it.
Maybe
But
because
there
it's
you go.
slimming, I don't know. But
Slimming olive.
But are we conforming to a particular look as well as bears? I mean, obviously, let's face it, we've all got beards, we've all got wear the Bearwear.
Try.
Are we conforming? Should we? And do people get ostracised if they don't conform?
Oh, no, I don't think so. Do they?
I wouldn't say people get ostracised, no, but I think it's just a thing of, it comes down to social identity as well, doesn't it? Like, anything you're going to wear, for whatever people, whether they wear leather or whether drag or whatever like that, or, it's part of social identity and going with, other people you sort of feel comfortable with or socialise with. You're going to sort of like always wear the similar sort of things, you know what I mean? I suppose it's just the way it is.
But does bear culture does focus on the masculine. So where I'm going with this, I had a friend who had it was still what I would classify as Bearwear, but the bear was written out in diamantes. So it was a little bit camp.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now he actually said he got some very negative comments at bear events for wearing that T-shirt because it was too camp.
That's disappointing to hear
that's
that sort of
awful.
thing, It's that's that sort of like, why go with that sort of hyper masculinized thing? It's just like, wear what you want and enjoy it. It's just it's disappointing that you'd hear people say something like that, not being masculine enough.
Yeah, that's to me, that's just their own insecurities coming out.
Well, that could be the case as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think stuff everyone if you wear what you want. I mean, that's why drag queens is just so awesome, because they can do that and own it.
But then we look at the venues that we occupy and drag isn't allowed in those venues.
Well, yeah, that's true. So, yeah, good point.
Do you think we should have more drag elements at bear events?
The other states, well, look, other states and that sort of thing, they mix it in with it, and it's just like, I've seen plenty of other shows where it's a mix of everything. It's just like, I can't see why we can't do it, but it's just like, sort of certain venues or whatever like that, where it is and isn't allowed or whatever like that, it's just, I suppose, pick other venues if you want to mix it through, but I can't see why we can't have a little bit of a drag number here or there in Bearland. Doesn't hurt at all.
Exactly. Now, I mean, obviously following on from the masculinity, I mean, obviously women aren't really included in bear events especially at the moment, I haven't seen a woman involved in a bear event for a while. Is that something we should consider as well?
I would like to see it happen, and it's just like, I know in other states there, where it's just like, I think part of it comes down to sort of like your mix of your venue, depending on, obviously if your venue is a mixed sort of venue, it's fine. Some of the venues around the place actually have those mixed days, and I actually enjoy it a lot when it's the mixed days where there's men and women around, because it just makes sometimes you can sort of feel it's just like all overseas, men, you know what I mean? It's just like you'd actually like to see something else and sort of a variety of people, so it's just, I think, mixing it.
But one thing I'd like to ask you is, you have been on bear committees in the past, do you think you would have received complaints if women were at events?
Maybe. It could. Okay, I suppose I can say there's been on the committee previously. It's just like that someone will find something that they don't like about it, but just like sometimes it's a case of just suck it up and go with it. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's a part of life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes I think you can overthink things. And it's just like make a complaint about this or whatever like that. It's just like just enjoy it and celebrate it for what it is. So yeah. You would probably get a few, and I know a few good friends who actually don't like drag. I don't understand why. They don't, whether as in women's drag as opposed to bear drag or leather drag or whatever sort of thing. It's just it's just one of those things, and it's just I find it curious, because they're intelligent well-rounded people, but they just have that sort of element about it where there's so what is he not liking about it? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So,
I mean, what would life be without Drag Race, you know?
exactly.
True.
Do you feel that maybe how do you feel about women involved in bears and stuff?
Look, I would love it. I don't see too much of a problem with it. The most venues around town, though, are kind of built on their niches. So, let's say, for example, the Laird is a men-only kind of establishment because that's their niche. And the circuit has drag nights on Sundays, I believe it is.
True, yeah.
Don't quote me on that, but yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, and Vic Leather obviously is a combined space where men and women can come together as well
Absolutely,
and socialise. So that's a good alternative as well.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys, for being with me today on The Bear Cave.
Pleasure.
I'm Big Bear Mark, and thank you for being with us on The Bear Cave, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you for staying with Bent TV. Please visit our website, Twitter, YouTube channel and Facebook to find the different ways you can support Bent TV, provide feedback and become involved in supporting Bent TV. Back after this break.
Good evening. Have you ever heard these words? I'm too fat to get a boyfriend. Should I really date my ex-girlfriend's ex-girlfriend? Or things like, well, actually, I can't even think of it, so I need a little bit of help. And I've got a couple of life coaches with me tonight who are going to help us to work out some of the key points of finding a great partner. I've got with me Jackie Flynn, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And Matt Cooksey.
Good to see you.
So tell us about Matt. Is it a perfect partner trying to find?
Well, you know, what's a perfect partner? I guess amazing partner, you know, is probably a better word. And I took a workshop just a couple of weeks ago, and I set the workshop up for 12 people, and 41 people turned up, because it seems that our community, you know, really grapples with this question. And so in the workshop, I went through a number of the steps that are, you know, people that will really help people to get in the best possible position to find the most amazing partner who's a really good fit for them. So I thought we could share a few of those today.
Great, let's do it.
So one of the things that everyone laughed about in the workshop was when we talked about, are you so busy looking for Mr. or
Ms.
Right
Sis.
that you're actually not being Mr. Right, you know? So you're so tied into, well, they're too fat and they're too thin or they're too this or whatever, that actually, hang on a minute, what's my life like? Would I date me? That's one of the questions I ask people. Would you date you? Is your life together as you would want it? So that was one of the first tips, and often where people fall down is they're so sort of looking outside themselves that their own house isn't necessarily
Needs cleaning.
That's right.
Yeah.
100% would not date myself.
I'm not
seriously.
not pointing your fingers. I mean,
Would never do it. No, I would not do it. I agree. That's a good point.
so that was one of the first things we talked about. And then the second thing sort of relates to what we just said. You know how people talk about it like, oh, they were too this, they were too that. I went on this date and, you know, they were just this, or they had bad breath, or they were whatever. You know, what we tend to do as human beings is we focus on the things that we don't want. And it's a really, really bad habit. And a much better habit is to focus on what it is that we do want. So that's really the second tip, is figure out what you do want. And there's a really good practical way to do that. And the way to do it is to look at the list of things that you don't like about people. And when you've got that list of things, you then know actually what you do want. Because if I know that I don't want someone with bad breath, then I know that I want somebody.
Or is that Listerine?
With Listerine, absolutely.
Correct.
So no product placement. It could be any kind of meat.
Or any other kind of
We're not
mint or
sponsored
breath
by them.
freshener.
Yes, no.
So that's the second thing. Focus on what you want. Don't focus on what you don't want, because you'll get whatever you focus on. The third thing is, you know, we've all been through it. We've been through these, kissed all these frogs and seen all these people, and then you see this guy and you're on a date with this person and you're like, holy shit, this is like the mother load. And of course we just turn into a complete nervous wreck or a complete bunny boiler.
The old Channing Tatum. The old...
You got it. And so
Hang on, what does that mean?
You're beautiful. Beautiful looking man.
He's there, and he's right in front of you, and we're just a mess. We're a total mess. And so there's two things that come out of that. One is work on your own confidence as well. Don't expect to just suddenly get confident. Actually work on it. You can build your own confidence. And then secondly, don't get so attached to the desire to have a partner, and that might sound like a really screwy thing to suggest, but the more we cling to wanting that person, ironically, the less likely we are to actually get it. So one of the keys is to really just relax.
And feel good. It's all about feeling good.
It really is, because if you don't feel good and then you go on a date or you meet somebody, they pick up on it. They can see that.
I can feel that energy.
Oh, okay, right. So what would be a way of feeling better? Would be like making sure there's other stuff in your life?
Well, definitely making sure there's other things in your life, but it can just be just do whatever it takes to feel good. So if you're going to go out on a date and you've just had a shitty day at work or whatever, do something to get yourself feeling good before you go on the date. Go and take a walk. Maybe go and listen to some awesome music that you love.
For mine, it's flash dance.
Really?
Yeah, really.
But get your flash dance on. Whatever it takes, but get yourself into a good feeling place before you go on your date. That kind of stuff. And I guess one of the other things that the guys and girls who were at the workshop, thank you, realised was, I'm terrible for that, by the way, was that sometimes our concept of love isn't quite right. We've confused either, in the gay world, love with lust or need. Yeah.
Well said.
And often that's where we get stuck. So I went through a process of re-educating myself about what is love, what is it, and there's some great books out there. There's one called The Mastery of Love by this guy, Manuel de Ruiz, and it's absolutely a brilliant book and will change your concept of what love's all about. So that would be a great place to start.
Okay, great. There was a crash there, by the way. That's why Matt looked away. All right, let's move on to the next tip. What else have we got?
Well, we live in such a world of the gay apps, whether it be Grindr or whether it be
Pink Sofa.
Thank you. All of those places that we go, and they're great. And in the workshop, we had this big debate where half the room had to argue for them and half had to argue against. And what we really concluded is, yes, get on the apps if you feel good with them. Some people struggle with them. They feel addicted to them. They feel their self-esteem struggles. If that's the case, get off it. Don't go on there. Yeah. But if you can relate to them well and you can feel good about what you're doing on there, great.
Set an intention to how you want to feel.
That's right. But there's other ways to meet people as well. And
different ways.
You can find other ways to find good people.
Actually, and if I may interject, if you go on the web and find a website called Meetup, it's basically all sorts of different ways that people meet up, and there's actually quite a few LGBTI groups there, and they're not about going to bars, they're about really nerdy things like computer games or role playing
softball
or dinner,
ladies.
Softball, the chapstick set.
Yeah, you got me. You got me.
Beautiful. So we're kind of wrapping up. So what's kind of one final tip that you think is like just a really great point to start?
I just think it's about relaxing about this whole thing and being clear about what it is that you want. And those are two sides of the same coin. Sometimes the more we're clear about what we want, the more tense we get about where the hell is this person. Yeah. And so the more we're clear but relaxed at the same time, it just starts to happen.
Yeah, I really like that idea of knowing what you want. There was one exercise that I thought was really great. You just write down all of the things that you would like in a partner. Take a look at your list. First of all, if there's 250 things on there, probably you can just, find the top 7.
I have a client who started out with 250 things, and totally agree with you.
Beautiful.
Too many things.
Excellent.
Where's the
thank you very much for joining us, Matt and Jackie. That's all the time that we have for the moment for finding perfect partners. But that's your first point, is make a nice list, cut it down to 7 things. That's what you're looking for. Not negatives, positives. Thanks a lot for joining us.